Hey everyone, Mac is back, and right now going on is Ryler's trial. It's actually almost finished up, only about 2 hours left, hour and a half left, but I want to do a video about more testing that I've done with commanders. I think you should be doing this as well, just to try to find out the most efficient way to not lose troops and to kill the most troops as you possibly can. So I did a little experimenting and I wanted to show you my results. Let's get to it. So the first thing that you have to consider are the commanders that you have, the number of stars that they are, the levels that they are. There's a lot of variables when it comes to this type of testing. It's not going to be perfect by any means, but at least it'll give you a better sense of what's going on. So as you can see here in my army configuration tab, you can see all the different formations that I have, and there's one that still I could still put in there that I haven't yet. For the most part though, I have pretty much every formation in here as you can think of, you know, like the different solos with the infantry, cav, and spear, and then the two troop types as well. And essentially if there are 3 troop types, I'm going to keep the, like for instance, if I'm going to go inf, cav, spear here on this line, then I'm going to probably use this formation as well, the same commanders, because they're probably going to be buffing those first 2 lines more than anything. But that's where your experimentation can come in, and you know, you can kind of figure it out from there. So what I did is I went in here and I edited this top one here. I edited the different commanders that I had, that I've kind of just put together the 5 that you think are the best, and then kind of which ones might be better than others that you can kind of substitute in there. So like I said, some of the factors are, as you can see, these all 5 of these commanders are at level 10, so that gives them all 21,000 troops that they're going to bring along to make your army size that much bigger. And that's exactly what you want. You want to make sure that you're if you possibly can, you want the bigger army size in there, because that will usually trump the bonuses or the the stats that they get for the most part. There probably are some exceptions to that. Another factor is the formation that you have against the formation that you're attacking is another could be one of those other factors. If you're using the female setup, the RNG, or how random the random generation basically of what is actually happening when the buffs or the army skills actually proc. So that's something to consider as well. And also consider the commanders and which commanders that you're using in reference to their troop type. So like for instance, Arya is a infantry commander. If she's attacking a spear front line, she's obviously going to do more damage with her with her attack than Salma or Layla. So that's something else to consider as well. But if you switch that up and you have an infantry front line, Arya becomes neutral, and these two will do more damage. So what I did is basically figured out my spear formation. Like for instance, this one was a 3 troop type is what I did. So I put 300,000 for the front line, which is going to be infantry. The second line and the third line, I went basically the same, about 2.8 for 288,000 for each, 289, about the same. But I kept everything the same for that reason. I wanted a little bit more in that front line, because typically that's what you do with the meat shield. Obviously here I'm just using tier 4 for this example, but I also put cavs in here as well. So it is a 3 troop types. So this is something that I did. So let's get to the results of that. Actually, before we get to the results, I wanted to show you here in Ryler's trial how I decided what to attack. So in this case, I went to level 26 for all my examples, which is a spear infantry formation, so a spear front, infantry in the back. I didn't put any bonuses in there whatsoever. The only thing I was worried about is to make sure that the battle went 40 seconds. I wanted to make sure it went 40 seconds so that I could actually make good comparisons, because if you just completely destroy their army or they completely destroy yours, then you're really not getting a good estimate about how the actual battle went and the damage that was actually dealt. So that's what I did. If you're not that strong to be able to do level 26, then just go down to like an 18 or something, and you can see a cav spear formation right here, and a lot less bonuses, a lot less attack and defense and health that they're going to have there for it. So let's get into that spreadsheet. All right, so let me break this down for you. As you can see here, there's a lot of numbers involved. But it took me quite a long time to be able to go through this entire spreadsheet, because I had to do these over and over and over again. As you can see, I decided to go with 10 attacks on each one. So we'll start with this first one up here on the top left. And as you can see, I went an infantry cav formation. I essentially used the equipment and my badges that I would normally use. I attacked at level 26, the one that I showed you. In this instance, I had 400 for the front of infantry, 400,000 for the front, 477,000 for the back, and these were the commanders that I used. And then after I did these 10 attacks, the damage taken, so this was all the troops that I had that either were killed or wounded, and this is the damage that they dealt for that against that formation. So as you would expect, if an infantry cav is going into that that spear infantry formation, I'm gonna do a lot more damage because that infantry front's gonna just annihilate the spears, and those calves will come in later. So it was like a really good counter, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to see what the kind of damage would be, and you could go the other way. Any way you do it, just make sure that it's very consistent. So what I did is I took all of these damages, I entered them in here in the spreadsheet, and the average, I took the average of each one, and then I went for the high and the low, the high damage and the low damage, or high damage taken and low damage taken. So that's what I did for that. And then I went to the next one, and my curiosity was, I have Daenerys at 3 stars, so I don't have her 4-star ability yet, which I thought maybe that I would be able to utilize her more, in some of these lineups here as well. So because her bonuses right now are about 55% attack health and total attack health and defense. So I figured that might be pretty good, because if you have 2 troop types, and then you're talking about 110% attack health and defense there, and I thought that might be pretty good. So what I did is I substituted Dani in for each one of these commanders, basically. So right here, the second one I put Dani in for Lats to see how that complicated out. And the next one I went over, I took Arya out and put Dani in. The next one down here, I took Rey out and put Dani in. And then the very last one, I took Dani out and I took Selma out and I put Dani in. I didn't finish that one. I started it, and as you can see here, those weren't the bonuses that were here, but it was very minimal. I took a lot of damage, and I didn't deal much damage. And the reason is that Selma is vital to this female lineup, female setup, just like Layla is. I definitely knew that Layla was going to be, key in this, so I wasn't going to take her out. And then when I did this experiment here, I realized that Selma has to be in no matter what. Even if she doesn't buff anything at all, having her 4 stars is incredibly important. So that's just something to note. And as you can see, the results here, I put this one in green. You can see here that the averages, you have to kind of look into it a little bit closer too, though, because you can see what the averages are, but sometimes the averages aren't as good. You can see here 149,000 was my average damage taken. You wanted that to be as low as possible. So this was 164, 154, 153. So that was the best. The average total total damage dealt, this one was 1.14, 1.10, 1.12, and 1.09. So still, more average damage was best there. Then you have a high damage here. You can see this one is 1.15, almost 1.16. This is 1.14, 1.15, and 1.14. So again, still everything points to this being the optimal lineup here. The one thing that I didn't test here, which was still probably a good thing because I really didn't consider it, was putting Annie. I have Annie 4 stars. Maybe Annie in for, say, Arya or Rey. Like, they're the only 2 I think of, because Lats really buffs that front line pretty hard. But the problem with Annie is she only has her 4-star ability and her total attack, so she's really not doing until I think it's total defense as well. And then she has some spear defense, or I think her health, which there's no spear in here, so it's not going to do anything. So I didn't really consider that. The second one I did was an imp spear, because then I was like, all right, well, let's see what's going on with Annie here. And again, I put in substitutes. I went around to kind of see who was what and what was going to change there. So like I had Annie in this lineup. The second one I substituted Rey in there, and the third lineup I substituted Dani. And then once you find out some of these things, you figure out how they're doing. You can see that I only did like 5 here because I saw the average was just way too weak. That wasn't a good lineup. Probably not the best way to do that. I probably should have went the other 5, but I don't think the results would have changed that much. And as you can see here, just by these 3 lineups here that I had, you can see that it was 199,000 was the average for the damage taken. You want that to be low. 192, so this was better, and then 188, which was significantly better. And you look at this and you might think, okay, 199, 192, that's not that much, but when you get into a rally, this is only 800, almost 900,000 troops. If you get into a rally of millions, you're talking 6 million rally or something. You have a whale that maybe is you're doing this, or you don't have to be a whale for you just maybe you have rally size expansion in your in your refinement, then you can, they're all maxed out. You can get up to 5 million pretty easy with a 50% or 75% buff. So you don't have to be aware for that, but still 5 million, that exacerbates this, and it's a lot more. There's a lot more going on. So yeah, this was my result was infantry spear formation was Layla, Salma, Dani, Arya, and Lat. So that's what I want to do there for that two troop type. Going down further, I decided to expand on it and go to a 3 troop type to see what we'll do with that. My thought was that Dani would be excellent in this because she'd be doing 150% now with 150% attack across all the troop types. She would still give the health and defense for that front line as well, the infantry, so I figured that might be better for her. I did kind of put the troop types out to kind of even a little more in that front line again, like I'd shown before. So I think that was probably best. Maybe I could have I've changed this up just a little bit, and put more in that front line or something. But I again still going to the level 26, so you're still going to do a lot of damage. So when it came down to it, as you can see here, some of the results. So for this lineup here, it was 217, here was 219, and here was 217. Now this is where it got a little bit interesting, because if you look at this, you can see that I chose this line here in green, but the damage that they took on average was 219, which was actually more than this lineup, both lineups actually, as you can see. But it was only by like about 2,000. So I'm willing to take that, that heavy hit there, I guess, in a sense. If you look at the low, it's 209. Here was 210 and 209. So the low end, it was actually about even with the other two. And on the high end, 232, 228, and 227 wasn't too much higher, with just a little bit. So that's where the average got there. But what I really liked about it is the average overall was of damage dealt was a lot more here when you're talking about the 988 here compared to over 1 million, and here was 995. So that's what I really liked. You can change this around the way you like. If you don't like this lineup here, for instance, and you like to say save more troops and a little bit less damage, then it's perfectly okay. Just pick which one you think that you like the most. As you can see here at the end, I didn't even show this other one. There's another one that was very close to what the other green over here as well. You can see that it lost considerably less troops at 209 on the average, but it also still did over 1 million. So I like this lineup here very good as well with an Imp Spear Cav. So Layla, Salma, Arya, Ray, and Lat did very, very well in this. And like I said, something you have to make sure that you it all depends on the stars that they have. If they 4 stars, they 3 stars. Like Ray can't be 4 stars in this lineup because she'll lose her active ability, so you have to be careful with that. So this is just something to consider. I don't want to go too long on this video because there's a lot of information on here, and this took me a lot of time. But I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of different different formations that you can put together here. And as you can also see, something you would actually expect to happen is with this infantry cav formation, same amount of troops as you had for the 3 troop type as a 2 troop type. This counter, you can see the average here was 1.14 million, where even on the best one down here, if I look at, I think it was over here, was 1.03, but it's 1.05. So you can see that even the 3 troop types is not as good as a 2 troop type counter overall. And you can see the average loss was 149 here as well, where down here you're talking over 200,000. So you're doing a lot more damage, you're saving a lot more troops. So a lot of times you're going to be doing a 2 troop type more than you're going to be doing that 3 troop type. So if you buff up on a couple of those two troop type formations like infantry cavalry, or then you can have like a cav infantry, then you can actually do very, very well against countering your opponent. So I hope this gave you a good idea of this. If you have any questions, like I said, post them in the comments, and I will get back to you with that. Till next time, knock out.